Hey everyone and welcome to another video guys, and today I'm doing a short video touching on some differing ways to improve your laning outside of playing solo queue. Now, just as a quick recap, in one of my previous videos, I covered the importance of having solid micro, specifically clicking speed and clicking accuracy. And then as a follow-up video on top of that, I concluded how champion mastery and micro competence contributed and influenced your level of map awareness. Now, specifically, proficiency with micro leads to better character control, which leads to more confidence with your movement, in turn, allowing you to direct your attention towards minion HP values and the enemy, rather than focusing all of your attention on your own character model, which allows you to then utilize your peripheral vision to see where your character is in relation to the enemy, identify miniature breaks, that sort of thing. Now, if you haven't seen these videos, I highly recommend watching these videos first before going through this video. Now, I think we can all agree on the fact that laning can be incredibly overwhelming at times. There are so many areas that we need to direct our attention towards. And these are just a few of them. You know, dodging skill shots, CSing, preparing CS, map awareness, and within map awareness you have, your own jungler's location, you have side lane states, you have the enemy jungler's location, we have preparing wave states and thinking in the future about where the wave's going to be, lane positioning, clicking quality. There are so many elements of laning that can just be incredibly overwhelming. Now, this is where drills really come into play, and using drills to improve your laning. Now, drills across time have been one of the most efficient ways to improve specific elements of your game in nearly every single sport. But one of the problems I actually had with drills in League specifically is that they all seemed incredibly static. They didn't have that alive factor. They didn't seem realistic in terms of what you would see in an actual game. You need a degree of aliveness to make them worthwhile, in my opinion. And aliveness is a term that is used to describe how realistic a drill actually is. And aliveness needs timing, energy, and motion. Now, another one of the problems I used to have with drilling in League specifically is that they were all so boring. Like, they weren't able to be gamified. You know, when you play traditional sport, when you're learning sport as a kid, usually the coach puts you against one of your teammates as a competition. They make it really fun and exciting. But drilling in League always seemed mind-numbingly boring. And I couldn't see anyone actually doing these drills without actually just wanting to uninstall the game. So I had a lot of problems with drilling in League of Legends. So introducing the Lux Bot Drill. So I did not come up with this drill. It actually came to my attention through another guy within my Discord that's been helping people with their reviews named Iladir. And I believe he came across it through another coach that used to work under LS a few years ago. I don't know how old this drill actually is, but after I found out about it, I realized how effective it actually was, and I felt like I had a responsibility to share it with you guys in the League community. So the way it works, go into a practice tool, just you and an intermediate Lux bot, and go into bot lane. And the goal is to get as close to 44 CS at 5 minutes as possible, with the final wave arriving at around 4 minutes 30. Now for the rules. Number 1, you are not allowed to hit the Lux, but she can hit you. Number 2, you shouldn't really be looking at your champion at all, or at least you should be minimizing it as much as possible. Number 3, only auto attacks are allowed, 0 abilities. 4, when Lux is pressuring you, you need to be reading her movements to try and avoid her abilities and damage. Number 5, look at the minimap as often as possible, ideally when the minions' HP values are very high. So the purpose of this drill, guys, is that it allows you to refine your laning without heading into a ranked match. Specifically, you can refine your wave management, your micro, clicking and dodging, tethering, and map awareness, all in one alive drill. So don't worry if you don't understand it and you need to see what it looks like. In a second, I'm going to show you an example of me actually doing it very quickly, so sit tight. Now for a few interesting things about this drill, guys. So number 1, Lux throws skill shots in a way that notices your movements the split second you move. So if your movements are very long and linear and telegraphed, you are no way going to be able to avoid the damage. And this is actually one of the largest reasons why this drill is so amazing at refining your micro. If your clicking is really far away from your character, like I mentioned in that how to improve your micro video, you are going to get punished hardcore. And number 2, the more damage you take from Lux, the more aggressive Lux will actually posture. And the reason I love this point so much, guys, is if your micro just isn't up to scratch, let's just say you've got very long, elongated clicks, you get nailed by a bunch of Lux E's in the first 2-3 minutes of the lane, then you're just not going to survive. Either you're going to die at like 3 minutes, 34 minutes, you're not even going to make the first 5 minutes, or you're literally just going to get zoned from the creeps because Lux is going to run past the minion wave and just completely zone you. So it's a very immediate, quick indicator that your micro is just not up to scratch. So it's a very good way of seeing what is wrong within your laning phase. And number 3, if you're finding it too easy, guys, which is incredibly unlikely, there are so many ways to make it harder. You can play lower range champions. You can even play a melee champion. You can take weaker itemization. Literally don't start a Doran's Ring or a Corrupting Pot. Literally start no items with no pots. Maybe you can look at the minimap more. There are just so many ways to make it harder depending on the level of play you're actually at. Number 4, it's a great way to improve at multiple aspects of the game simultaneously while keeping it fun, keeping it exciting. And the great thing about it, guys, is that you can actually track your scores, which I find to be extremely helpful. That's actually one of the biggest reasons why I personally loved LoL Dodge Game, because I can literally see my improvement. And the last point here, guys, is that you can actually use it as a warm-up tool. And the reason it's a very effective warm-up tool is because it actually gives you an immediate indicator of what level of play you're playing at right now. So let's just say, theoretically or hypothetically, your average score on this drill is, say, 33, 34. You range between the 33, 34 average. And before you head into ranked, maybe you're a little bit cold or whatever, and you go and do the drill before you head into ranked just to see where you're at. And maybe the first 2 times, you're just sitting at like 21, 22, 23. You're like low 20s. That's an obvious sign that you're not playing up to scratch. And maybe you're not ready mechanically, or you're not warmed up enough to head into ranked. So it's a very great tool because it has that ability to track your scores to actually see how warmed up you actually are. Now for the scorecard, guys. So if you're getting between 0 and 20 CS, this is where you should be ideally focusing on improving your last hit timing and getting a better overall feel for how much damage your auto attacks deal. And this is where real basic champion mastery really comes into play, understanding your auto attack range, your auto attack speed, absolute fundamentals of your champion. Now, in order to get 20 to 30 CS within the Lux Bot Drill, you ideally need to be focusing on improving your layering of the minions' HPs, setting up the casters for last hitting under the tower, paying a lot of attention to Lux's positioning in order to better increase your chances of avoiding her damage. And if you are getting between 20 and 30 CS on average, it's highly likely that your movement is very predictable and that you probably need to spend a little bit more time on improving your clicking speed, accuracy, and clicking closer to your character. Now, if you want to get 30 to 40, matching the push of Lux is actually necessary to get this much CS. This requires intuition about how many minions and the minions' HP values are on each wave. It also means you'll have to match her every auto with your own autos to make sure the wave is even, because if you push too hard, Lux will just walk you down the lane, run you down the lane, and zone you from the CS. If you get pushed in and allow Lux to actually build waves on you, you're not going to be able to CS effectively under tower because, again, you can't really use abilities, so you ideally want to be matching as much as possible. And in order to get 40 to 44, you ideally have complete mastery out of all or over all of the previous mentioned aspects. And in order to consistently hit this, while at the same time being aware of the minimap, the Lux, and the waves, you need to have complete and effortless control over your champion. And this means being able to move and attack without looking at your champion and still maintaining a high integrity of general micro, guys. So what we're going to do now is go into an example of me having a go at the Lux Bot Drill just to see how I navigate it. So if you have any questions or if you're not sure how it works, hopefully this really clarifies everything. So this is me having a go at the Lux Bot Drill. I would love to hear from you guys in the comments what your first time score is within this drill, right? I want to know if you're getting in the 20s, you're getting into teens, you're getting in the 30s, whatever it is. Don't be embarrassed. I would love to hear what your first time score is, and share it with us within the comment section. But anyway, as you can see here, I'm trying to match autos with the Lux as much as possible, because if I don't match, if I maybe shove too fast, then Lux will run me down the lane and I'll miss a bunch of CS. If I allow Lux to shove me in, then she's going to build waves, poke me under tower, and because I can't use abilities, I can't really prep CS that effectively. So I'm really focusing on keeping the wave state in the middle as much as possible. And you'll also notice that if Lux uses abilities on the wave, I'll actually auto the wave more, knowing that, you know, I need to keep the wave in this certain portion of the lane. And you'll also notice I try and pan my eyes onto the minimap as much as possible, but I'm finding it incredibly difficult post 3 minutes 30 because the intensity of the lane increases so much because Lux plays incredibly aggressive. She actually kind of zones me from these creeps. I think I missed 1 or 2 there, so not too bad. I know that she has no access to her E now, so I'm trying to thin this wave out. Pretty happy with how it went so far. And you'll notice the first 2-3 minutes are quite easy, and as soon as it gets to around 3 minutes 30, it gets very tricky. Now, you're not allowed to use the lane bushes as well, guys, so keep that in mind. So here, Lux walks up very aggressively. I'm terrified. I have no idea when she's going to throw that Q&E. And the weird thing about it, guys, is that she holds abilities. She doesn't just spam them off cooldown. She makes you think, like, is she going to use it? Is she not going to use it? And I'll be honest with you, she uses skill shots sometimes much better than challenger players or like master players or diamond players that I've versed in the past. It's very random and very difficult to read. Now I'm trying to thin the wave again. I'm pretty happy with how I've gone so far because I've been able to keep the wave in this state for so long. And now Lux does a very aggressive Q1 to me. And because I stand behind the creeps, it actually allows her to get the shove on the wave. And now she zones me from the wave completely. I don't know if I actually miss any CS here. Lux Qs me. I dodge. She's auto-attacking me through the creeps. But because I can't really... because I can't attack her back, she's doing a very good job of zoning me from the creeps. And this is all because I didn't manage the wave properly. And you can see me giggling in the camera. I'm like, oh, here we go. Lux is putting on a clinic on me. And I know that I'm kind of screwed at this point because it's going to be so hard for me to prep these creeps. And notice I've used both my pots because the lower HP you are, Lux smells blood. You know, Lux is like a shark. For some reason, she's able to smell blood. She knows I'm weak and she'll play more and more aggressive the lower you are. So try and use your pots as early as possible. So I'm doing a solid job at prepping these creeps, trying my best. Quite difficult because I don't have access to my abilities here. I believe this is the last wave. This wave here, or the next wave, sorry, is the last wave. So I only have this wave to see us left, and then we'll see what score I end up with. Here we go. Lux ends up missing all of her abilities. And as you can see here, I end up with a total score of 30, I believe 35. So there's the 34 and there's the 35 off that last wave. So that was my score, 35. So not amazing. I'd say it's pretty average. I mean, I would say, you know, when I first did it, I was still getting around this value. So as you can see, guys, it requires solid micro. It requires solid wave management. You need to be able to dodge skill shots, thin the waves, alternate your dodging patterns, have fast movements, fast clicking. It's a very interesting exercise. So let me know, guys, in the comment section what you guys end up getting. My hunch is that it's an incredibly effective tool, whether it's as a warm-up tool or to know what the weakness is within your laning phase. Have a go. It might not be for you. For some of you, it may click. For other people, it may not. Hopefully, this helps you. Cheers. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you for another video.